Now, Israel has reprimanded the new government of Sweden for recognizing Palestine as a state. Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman said Tel Aviv is sorry that the Swedish premier rushed to make declarations about a Palestinian state before studying the situation. He said it would be better if Sweden focused more on urgent matters in the Middle East. Now, the Swedish ambassador to Tel Aviv has been summoned for a reprimand meeting to be held on Monday. The move comes after Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Lofven announced his country's intention to recognize Palestine. Meanwhile, the British House of Commons has suggested a similar move. The bid is to discuss and put to vote on October the 13th. We're now going to be joined by Rodney Martin, former U.S. congressional staffer out of the U.S. Mr. Martin, I have a question on that. Why is Israel so opposed to countries recognizing Palestine as a state?
Well, there's a whole lot of reasons. Israel's ultimate objective is to not have any Palestinians in the occupied territories in Gaza or the East Bank, West Bank, that is. So if the Palestinians achieve statehood, they will be afforded a whole myriad of official status and protections that and recourse, that is, that Israel just does not want them to have. Israel wants them to be dependent, occupied persons with no legal status whatsoever, so they can continue their policies of ethnic cleansing. There's been numerous Israeli leaders, including prime ministers, that said their objectives has been to erase the Palestinians. And if the Palestinians achieve statehood, that will thwart the ultimate objectives of the Zionist entity in Tel Aviv.
Right, but how does this game of coercion and reprimand against friends, or let's say potential friends of Palestine, make Tel Aviv look in the eyes of the international community?
Well, what's going to happen is Israel is going to engage in political blackmail. They're going to call these countries in and tell them that if they recognize Palestine as a state, they're going to be faced with the age-old paintbrush of anti-Semitism and a whole host of ad hominem attacks that the Zionist state has used and Jews use within the borders of those countries to pursue Israeli policies. And if that doesn't work, then what will happen is Israel will get their big bully, the United States, to exercise a veto in the Security Council, which will demonstrate the absolute fallacy of the United Nations as a viable democratic entity.
Thank you, Mr. Rodney Martin. That was Mr. Rodney Martin joining us, former U.S. congressional staffer.